And they're so easy, and you can make as many and as little as you want. You can adjust the batch real easy because, you know, you can just add water. So.
I'm Kevin Rise, and this is my wife Janine, and we represent Thrive Life out of Utah, and our web address is riseandthrive.com, and we have freeze-dried foods and emergency preparedness equipment. And
hi Diego, howdy, and welcome to our show today. I'm Jimbo, the roving reporter for the farmhouse, and we're on the Foodie Friday show where I'm doing the Foodie news. Over to you, Greg Stevens, the Foodie food hound for the Foodie Friday show.
Hi folks, Greg Stevens, the Food Hound for the Foodie Friday show. It's Foodie Friday and we're going to try out some freeze-dried products from Thrive. Check it out.
Well, most of our products have a 25-year shelf life unopened, and once they're opened, they're good, most of them, for 1 to 2 years on the shelf, unrefrigerated. That even includes the meats, the sausage and the ground beef, the roast beef and chicken, and it is actually a lot healthier than the foods that we can get in the grocery stores now, because our products are freeze-dried within 6 hours of picking, and they're picked at their peak of ripeness rather than picked green and shipped like the stuff in the grocery stores. So ours actually has a higher nutrient content, low sodium, low sugar content, and it's just plain yummy.
Or Rise and Thrive.
Rise and
Thrive is their
Thrive
website.
Life is the parent company.
Okay, and they're going to feed you. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Anything else I
Great.
need?
No, thank you very
Yeah,
much.
thank you
We
very
appreciate Greg and Jeannie for inviting us and all of you into their home today, and for all of you taking time out of your busy schedules to be here, and we will do our best to make it worth your while with our yummy Thrive food.
freeze-dried sweet corn that is non-GMO, and this is pineapple, and it's all been freeze-dried at 50 below zero, and the water vapor taken off, so it's the food minus the water. There's no sugar added to the pineapple, and there's no sugar added to the corn, and no salt, and it's very healthy.
Kindle Cook, which is a portable unit that you don't need to have any heat source other than this little pack that you mix with water, and it cooks your meal for you. So we start with a meal in a jar. I call this my 2 tablespoon wonder meal in a jar, and we've got just a little bit of Thrive bouillon, Thrive tomato powder, and then there's Thrive freeze-dried rice and sausage and onion and a little bit of spinach. There's green beans, red bell peppers, peas, asparagus, carrots, and potatoes in there. And you can do anything that you want. We have over 170 products that you can put into this little jar, whatever you like. So it's completely customizable. So I'm just gonna pour this in here.
It's amazing.
And I haven't added any spices other than the bouillon to this, okay? And we're gonna add some water. And Kevin, do you have some cheese, honey, please?
Is it hot water? I don't know.
No, it doesn't need to be. This is warm, but cold water works because it cooks pretty fast. Okay, so I'm just gonna stir this around so that the tomato powder and the chicken bouillon gets through there. And then we'll sprinkle a little bit of our cheese on. This is cheddar cheese, freeze-dried, and we just sprinkle it on dry. There we go. Okay, and I'll bring this around real quick for everybody to take a peek at. Okay, so we just add.
That looks like mixed vegetables.
Scooter,
Or soup.
Yeah, Scooter's into it.
Yeah.
Wants it close up and personal.
And you
Okay.
got green beans in there?
Green beans and green peas.
Peppers.
Red bell peppers, asparagus. Okay, and we're just gonna take our little, be in the scrambled eggs. So
Okay,
here's our little heat packet. And we just put that in here, and there's a little line on the pouch that it comes in. Fill it with water. And the
Oh, so
colder.
you don't even need a jar, you just fill the thing with water
Yeah,
down below.
yep.
Gotcha.
What was it that you put in the water?
Nothing.
The heat pack. Is that what you're?
Yeah.
Okay.
Put water underneath that thing. Now it's cooking.
And we'll
now.
set this here, and I'm just gonna wrap this around just for a minute, because sometimes
Yeah.
after just a few seconds, it might spit a little bit out at us.
Oh my.
Can everybody hear it boiling?
Yeah.
Okay, and once it settles down a little bit, I will, don't run from the room, Angie, it's okay. I promise. Okay, so now we'll just let it sit
They
here
use that same kind of approach.
and cook while we do the rest of the presentation.
You're missing all this. It's cooking. You can hear it boiling up.
How many times can you use that little heater upper thing?
Each heat pack is an individual use, but the cook unit lasts a very long time. We use
Okay, so the
this
heat
a lot.
pack is one time.
Right.
You got one shot at it.
Right.
And you don't have to heat
Right.
it packed first?
No, you just add water and it's a chemical reaction. And a comment that I've had from some of our military folks that we really, really appreciate for their service is that
How the Jetsons would do it?
the MREs that they use, they can't cook in their barracks and stuff. As a matter of fact, whenever I fired this up last night, several of them were prepared to evacuate the house because they just knew that there was going to be a huge chemical smell that was going to be a negative impact. And as you can see, there is
So
no
the
chemical.
military's heater uppers, they have a smell to them?
They add water, but they have a bad chemical. Just sit there and cook while we're busy doing this stuff. So Kevin's going to bring you some. What do you have, honey?
I have freeze-dried sweet corn.
Hydrated. You can do anything with it that you would do with fresh. Only you can also do what you can do with it dry. A lot of people snack on the corn and the potato beads instead of like potato chips and other garbage that we, because there's no additives, no preservatives, and no soy.
Very sweet.
Isn't it? I've
Really
had
good.
corn on the cob that wasn't that sweet. How about you?
Yeah.
Not that I've
Yeah.
cooked.
No, it's good.
What?
Not that I've cooked.
So Thrive.
Just-
Go ahead.
just right. This is interesting. It's a powdery, crispy crunch. It's not like some hard product you normally would think of. The corn's really good. It's kind of sweet, like she said. It's usually better than most corn on the cob at a restaurant.
Very
Good stuff.
delicate.
And it's,
Yeah.
it's like candy when you crunch into
It
it.
is.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah.
Major food recalls for the month of December. Food recall number 071-2013 from Ontario, Canada. Firm recalls prosciutto ham product for possible listeria contamination, December 6, 2013. Editor's note, about 1 ton or 7.5 pigs or 130 hams worth of meat went to waste because it was contaminated with listeria during the meat handling process. Listeria produces flu-like symptoms that can be fatal to at-risk, including elderly infants and during pregnancy. Major food recall for December 2013. Food recall 072-2013. Washington firm recalls chicken noodle soup due to misbranding and undeclared allergens. A Class 2 recall. December 6th. Editor's note, about 4,473 chickens worth of chicken soup were recalled because it was not listed as having possible allergens and processed in a plant that cross-produces products that cause allergies to some humans. That is a lot of chickens that were grown for human food that never made it to the mouths of humans. Why? Because after they were killed, they were not properly processed for the intended human consumption.
Things. Hiking, hunting, camping, it makes the most healthy baby food that you can make. And it's so easy because you just grind it up dry, store it in an airtight container, take out a little tiny spoonful each time that you want to feed the baby, and add water and it's ready to go. And it's got all of the nutrients because they haven't been cooked out of it by canning and that kind of thing. And it also makes great snacks, and it's wonderful for long-term food storage as well as everyday use. We eat it every day, and most of the products are non-GMO. And Kevin now has
Sausage and cheddar.
Sausage and cheddar cheese is for folks who couldn't hear him.
Sausage and cheddar
And
cheese.
the sausage is pre-cooked and then freeze-dried.
And I'm gonna give this to you guys to pass around the other direction. That's,
Non-hormone meat.
okay.
Add any growth hormones to the livestock on
Right.
these guys and stuff?
No.
Right. There's no added hormones. The only hormones in the meat is what occurs naturally in the actual animal. They don't add any hormones, and they don't do a bunch of antibiotics.
A very flavorful sausage.
Very good, isn't it? And the fun part about that, again, it's better than fresh. We've got a friend who mountain bikes for weeks at a time in the Rockies, and she takes the sausage with her because she can eat it anywhere she is, and she doesn't have to have a refrigerator or an ice chest with her, because that sausage is good for 25 years unopened, and after you open it, it's so good for a year at 74 degrees or less. So long as you keep the lid on tight, it's really yummy stuff, and I haven't been able to find anything that has that kind of a shelf life.
Now, what is involved in the freeze-dried process? Do you know?
The freeze drying process,
Yeah.
well, the foods, the reason that these are tasting so fresh is because they are actually fresher than you can get in the grocery stores. And they actually test the produce before they pick it, and the sugar content and everything has to be absolutely perfect. So it needs to be absolutely at its peak of ripeness. And then when they do pick it, they have portable freeze dry units that they bring to the farm, and they actually freeze dry the food within 6 hours of being picked. So that locks in the flavor, unlike canning or even flash freezing that you do lose a little bit, and dehydrating, you also lose some of the nutrient content and some of the flavor. The freeze drying actually locks it in for 25 years in most cases.
Now, do they own the farms where they?
They own some of the farms, they contract with others, they get most of their products from the US, they get everything that they possibly can from the US. And anything else that's not from the US, they have product detail sheets, 5 pages, that tells you what country that it comes from. And they're a really high quality company all the way around. So
Where's
this
that corporate headquarters?
corporate headquarters are in American Forks, Utah. You want to do the raspberry first, and then chase it with the vanilla yogurt. And it is awesome stuff with all of our manipulated and messed up food that they're trying to feed us. Is the gluten? Think of the raspberries with the vanilla yogurt.
Really good.
Yummy. And it's fun. And in the yogurt, the probiotics are still there, because Thrive has learned that precisely 51 degrees below Fahrenheit is the place to freeze dry the yogurt in order to preserve those probiotics.
Wow.
So that's a hard thing to do even with fresh yogurt, let alone with freeze dried. So I don't know how many of you know anything about gluten-free certification, but technically you can't put this gluten-free certified symbol on a can unless it is legitimately certified. And that means that the product cannot be anywhere, can't be exposed to gluten anywhere along its travels from field to your home, basically, once it's actually canned and that kind of thing. So our meats used to not be on this list. Our meats are now on this list because they are processed, they're canned in a facility now that is completely
Recall for
gluten-free.
December 2013. Recall number 073-2013. This one was actually covered in some media outlets. Anyways, let's get on with the story. And it was expanded 2 or 3 times. Colorado firm recalls meat and poultry products that were produced under insanitary conditions December 16, 2013. Editor's note, this meat was recalled after an inspection determined it was processed under insanitary conditions. It was expanded because the time between inspections was more than about 6 months, and the food was processed for the better part of a year under these conditions, April till December. It is unlikely that the majority of the meat involved in this recall is still on the market. However, be sure and check your food for this and any recall information by visiting the US FDA website, www.fsis.usda.gov/recalls, RECALLS. The products were produced between April 1st, 2013 and December 5th, 2013, and can be identified by 4-digit Julian dates ranging between 3091 and 3339. The products were sold at wholesale and retail level in Colorado, Nebraska, New Mexico, Utah, and Wyoming.
Around some passion fruit yogurt and banana, and I forgot to put a banana in this. Nope, it's there.
You found a banana.
So you want to eat the banana first because the banana will kind of help cleanse your palate. And then when you do eat the passion fruit yogurt, I want you guys to all be ready for round 2 on the passion fruit yogurt, because about the time you think you've maxed out on the flavor, that passion fruit yogurt is going to kick it up a whole nother flavor notch. It'll blow your mind.
That is a banana. That is good.
Banana first.
And you can all see the Kindle cook is still cooking away. It's just steaming away over here, and you probably can't hear it, but I can hear it still boiling. So here's a comparison of our corn to Mountain House, which is another freeze-dried brand, and Del Monte. I did not know that they added sugar to Del Monte corn.
Of course.
And this is no salt added, and yet it has a higher sodium content than Thrive, because Thrive has a 0 sodium content in their corn. Our corn has 2 grams of sugar. The Mountain House has 8. And I can't say for sure, but one of my customers taught me this, that it's probably because ours is freeze-dried so fast as it's coming out of the field, and that locks it right where it's at picking, because apparently as corn is picked and sits, the sugars will concentrate in the kernels, and we don't want that in our American diet because we're trying to keep our carbs and our sugars to a minimum. But you can tell that the sweetness of the corn is so pure that it really pops through. So this gives you the comparison between the Del Monte canned, the other freeze-dried, which is $1.63 a serving, and ours is 42 cents. So there's a big difference in cost, and we beat them pretty badly. The other thing is that the canned corn, anybody have any idea what the nutrition loss is whenever you put anything in a can, heat it up, and seal it?
I'll bet it's 50% anyway.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. It's 40 to 60%. And that is at the point of putting it in that can and capping it off. And it continues to lose for its shelf life of 18 months. So by the time you get to 18 months, you've got basically 0 nutrient value. Okay? With the Thrive, your nutrient content is locked in there for a minimum of 25 years unopened. And when you open that, it's good for as long as this can of Del Monte corn is at all. This is good for 18 months open on the shelf.
So initially, the Thrive products do not have to be refrigerated?
They don't have to be refrigerated at all.
If freeze-dried, they can just be put on the shelf.
Until you rehydrate them, I suppose you might.
Yeah, when you rehydrate them, yeah, then they're just like anything else. So I'll pass this around. There's also on the back, it also talks about Libby's, I think it is. And you can see that, again, Thrive beats their price. And when you figure that not only does it beat it can for can on the shelf, because there's 15 of those cans in one of our number 10 cans, which is this size can. Comes in the number 10, as well as the pantry cans. And the 3 of these pantry cans equals 1 of the number 10 gallon size cans. So when you figure that there's 15 of these little cans in one of our big cans, then you're really coming out ahead. And then you double the nutrient content and it takes it up even further. So when they pass this around, this is the peas and the green beans, and ours are rehydrated. So I want you to notice just the color difference. See which one you like.
I'm bringing around now some creamy chicken noodle soup. And
Okay.
one of our
Want
12
to get a spoon too?
prepackaged meals in a bag.
Because anytime that you mix ingredients, you lose shelf life. So these are good for 10 years unopened.
Okay.
10 years?
Mm-hmm.
Now, did you add these seasonings to the chicken noodle soup?
It comes with its seasonings.
So you didn't add anything?
No, water. I added water, didn't we, Jeannie?
Yes, just water.
Yeah, Jeannie's the one that got that going. So we have a variety of 12 of these prepackaged meals, and That's one of the differences between Thrive and a lot of other freeze-dried companies. Thrive is an ingredients-based company. They prefer the pure fruits, the pure vegetables, the pure meats, and they don't like mixing stuff. They have done these pouches because the market kind of demanded it, because that's what the other companies were doing. People are learning that really the individual ingredients really is the way to go, because so many people have food allergies and intolerances, and this way you can customize the meal plan to your family real easily. So I'll send that around so that
And how many does one package serve?
it varies.
Okay.
It's anywhere from 2.5 to 4 per
Okay.
package, because there's entrees and main courses and that kind of thing. So
We need a package, but
you like that, Richard?
That's pretty good.
I told you he was a food connoisseur, right?
Yeah. Well, and notice that our sodium content on our prepackaged meals is very, very low compared to our competitors. They're really serious about, and you know, they do have to put some additives in, like I say, because anytime that you start mixing different products, then you shorten the shelf life, and you do have to do a few additives. But in most of the individual items, they don't have additives or preservative products. And how many folks have a grab and go bag?
Got one.
Okay. How many people have heard of grab and go bags?
I've heard of that.
Good, good. That's half the battle, is hearing about it. So that then you can take action. So it's actually a good thing that you guys haven't taken action yet, because this little guy here is an awesome deal. And for being here at Jeannie and Greg's event, you can get this backpack shipped directly to you for $79.99. It's just gone up a little bit. So anyways, and I'll pass this around so that you can see all the items in this kit. A lot of people have tried to put this together, and it's cost them a lot more than the $160 retail. As a matter of fact, last night a bunch of our Army guys were looking at it and they went, "Oh yeah, no, that's a screaming deal," because they know the cost on a lot of that stuff.
Loaded scalloped potatoes.
And Jeannie, how hard were those scalloped potatoes to make?
Just add water, that's it.
Isn't that fun?
And that soup was better than any soup I've had out of a can, that's for sure.
It really, it's
I mean,
amazing.
I won't mention brand names. I'm just saying out of a can
The
that
chicken was
beat
very
anything
moist.
out of it.
That surprised me, actually, was how, like, I got a little piece of meat in there. I usually get canned meat.
Right,
It's dry, and
right,
that's why I don't even eat canned soups.
right.
Major food recalls for the month of December. Food recall number 074-2013. California firm recalls dried sausage products due to possible contamination with staph. Editor's note, be sure to check with your deli to make sure they are not using these meat products in your fresh sandwiches. 740 pounds is the equivalent of 2 live pigs ready to be butchered. Of course, not all that meat is used for sausage, so it represents a portion of dozens of pigs' meat gone to waste due to human error in food handling. Major food recall for the month of December, 075-2013, and it's expanding. A Hawaiian firm recalls additional frozen raw chicken products due to possible temperature abuse. December 24th, 2013. Editor's note, temperature abuse would probably indicate they were not properly cold held during shipping. Approximately 5,000 chickens worth of meat will not reach human tables for consumption because of human error during the processing of the food. Besides the civilian food network in Hawaii, it was also shipped to military complexes and distributed at commissaries. This concludes your food news for Foodie Friday, and as always, if you have any concerns about food recalls, visit the US FDA website, which is www.fsis.usda.gov/recalls. And you can peruse the extensive list of food recalls.
Good idea too.
Yes, yes, those are yummy, aren't they? And
Very flavorful.
Yeah.
well, that's one of the things. Now, when Kevin and I got into this, we found this at a gun show, We buy and tasted the corn, the pineapple, and the vanilla yogurt, and I was hooked. You know, I said, okay, this is what we need for our food storage. And because in Spokane, we've been through ice storms where we were out of power personally for 4 days and nights. And, you know, there were other people that were out of power for weeks. So, anybody else know of any other reasons you might want to store food?
Hurricanes.
Hurricanes?
Well, that's not such a big deal up here, but earthquakes up here is
Earthquakes.
a huge deal.
All right.
Volcanic eruption,
Yes.
tsunami,
Yep.
windstorm,
Yep. All of the
tornado,
above, right? And a little political unrest might not be a bad-
meteor impact,
Yes.
forest
yes.
fire, flooding,
Yep. Oh yeah.
winter storms.
Who was
living together.
who was here?
In
What was
harmony.
it? 6 or 5 years ago, maybe. That when we had the huge snowstorm, so we were locked off from eastern Washington and Oregon and Canada even. I mean, it was just the little segment along the Cascades to the ocean, and everything else was cut off. Does everybody remember that?
Oh, yeah.
And that was what, 08, 2008, 2009, something like that?
Centralia was underwater,
Right, I-5 was how many feet underwater?
like 5 or 6 feet.
Again,
Yeah.
It's one of those 10 to 100 year floods we've had in the last 5 years.
So anyways, there's lots of reasons to have a little bit of food stored up. And if you think about it, this current generation is kind of the grocery store generation. We used to stock up, can, that kind of thing, prepare from harvest to harvest. Now, our kids joke. They say, well, we'll go grocery shopping at mom and dad's basement. Because, you know, they're so used to, you know, just going to the store. So having Thrive really cuts back on impulse buying, and it gives you just a lot healthier food as well. And so
Got
Kevin's
some
got,
scrambled eggs, and I put a little bit of sausage and
I've been waiting for this.
and I can actually make scrambled eggs with these. My scrambled eggs are always flat. But these turn out pretty nice and fluffy. Sick and started just dumping the vegetables into a can of chicken noodle soup, regular chicken noodle soup, because I knew I was going to need a better nutrient content, and so I was just getting into the veggies. But what I didn't count on is I had a really bad cold. I could taste those veggies, and better yet, I felt better within minutes because I could feel the nutrients going into my body. And so there's several ways to get Thrive into your home. You can come on up, guys. The macaroons are coming around. You're going to want in on that.
the chicken salad.
Oh, I'm sorry. The chicken salad's coming first.
Okay.
Are 3.5 gallons each, and they are a lot easier to carry than a 5-gallon bucket. They've got the comfort grip handle, and you can get the spigots to go on them too. So what a lot of people do, besides using these for home storage, is they fill them up to about this line here and freeze them, and then they take them and put them in their ice chest when they go camping or hunting, and then that keeps their food in the ice chest cool and keeps their water fresh and ready to go for them, so they've got ice water for several days. System. And this particular filter is called our .02, and this will even do viruses. This does your typical Cryptosporidium, Giardia, all the bad stuff that you usually learn about, the bacterias and protozoas in water that you're concerned about, but this one will also do viruses, and it will do 1 million gallons. And it's a gravity feed, so you don't need electricity to operate it. And for those, who knows how much water we should have each day
2
for one
gallons.
person.
How much?
2 gallons minimum. You want to wash your hands? You need 2 gallons.
Yeah.
What
For-
do you do if I get them dirty or not?
The first, they say in a crisis, the first 3 days, the minimum is 1 gallon per person. After the 3 days, it goes up from there, and by the time that you get to about 9 days, you're looking at 5 to 10 gallons a person, depending if you're cooking and doing laundry and that kind of thing. Sanitation does play a role. Okay, so everybody still got their spoons?
Yep.
I'm ready.
What is that?
Okay, so come.
good.